Okay, let's go on a tip on fact-checking news stories that you see online. Okay, we talked about fact-checking memes, just memes, funny memes you see online, or not just funny memes, but memes with information that is supposed to be true. We talked about also about checking posts in general, information that you read on posts and Facebook or social media or Instagram or X. Fact check those posts, go find out outside that how valid they are. And we covered about a few other things, but let me jump in so I don't want to waste a lot of time. Um, we're going to talk about briefly how to check news stories that you read, because sometimes you can Google the story, you can find a story to fact check a story, and then this is what I admitted in the past. News stories, media, they are generally good, but sometimes they mislead. Sometimes they may omit information, or sometimes they might phrase it in a certain way, and that's where people say, "Oh, they're fake news." No, they're not fake news. They're offering you the information, but you have to be able to go through the thing, through the story. And again, they're mostly accurate, but they get in certain areas where they change words or don't offer 100% this. So you have to be aware of that. But the stories overall is true. And again, and I make a comparison in the past, with comparing it with police brutality, where they say cops are bad, and people say back the blue, and people say defund the police. Police by and large are good people, I believe. But you get bad apples. Same in the media. Okay, so when you get media and you get a story that may be misleading or whatever, yeah, you're gonna get in media. You're gonna get certain reporters, or they might not be 100% honest. You might get in police departments, police officers are abusive and kind of break the law and kill people unjustly. You get the idea. But when you check stories online, you need to fact check the news stories themselves. So you need to read what they talk about in the story. Let's talk about right now what's going on with Iran. Or let me give you a more general example. Let's go with Israel and Palestine. That's a decades old story in the news. Same story over and over again. When you read news stories from Palestine and Israel, you need to go into the story, and when they mention people's names in the story, the prime minister of, well, we know many prime ministers, the foreign minister of Jordan or whoever, or Lebanon, or foreign minister of whatever country, or this any leader. And then also we're talking about elite figures, professor of the University of yada yada yada, US, England, Australia, whatever, China. All those names that you see through the stories, you should go and check them out to see if they are real. So check that professor, who he is. You don't have to spend a whole day reading their life. Just Google their name. And then also with links of stories. For example, they said the past report 5 years ago where there was this incident. Check that incident. Go check and see if that incident happened. Go Google. This incident is named whatever. Let's say banana cake massacre. So go to that, type of the word. I'm being funny, I know. Banana cake massacre. Google that word and find information about that event and find out how accurate the event is. If the event matches with what you're reading in the story, sometimes whatever they're talking about is minimized. And that, we're not talking about that. Let's talk about other instances. You can check other links that say past, even stories that are 20 years old. Go back and read and say, oh, is this accurate? Is this what happened? You back and read. Sometimes they omit or change, or sometimes you go into the story and the story has nothing to do with what they're talking about. You can click on something that says and the event that happened in Israel, and then you click into the story, and then maybe it really happened in Egypt. but it was like twisted in a way because it's the proximity, they change, they just manipulate in general. So please check the sources when you read the articles. When you read those articles, check the mentions through the article. This incident, this person, this professor, this anything in the story, go check it. And also because you know what's good, in the internet nowadays they have links. Sometimes they put a link to the event that happened in 2004, yada yada yada, and then sometimes they put a link to it. If they're reputable, good publications, they do a link to the past article. Sometimes publications that are so-so, they won't put a link to it. They will just say da 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 da, and then you have to go search yourself. But please read the story behind the story before you read believe the whole thing. Read the story, but don't believe the story. If you have time, just fact check it real quick through the different mentions and events and things through the story, and then you'll be in a better place. For any advice for Trumpers and anybody else. Hasta la vista.